What is going on YouTube? It's your boy Spanko, and today I'm back with another dueling book deck profile. I really like the dueling book option right now because, as you guys can see, if you look at the side deck, I can show you other options and show you other ways to play the deck. If you guys enjoy the dueling book versions, let me know in the comment section down below. But if you guys want to see a real life, like me putting down my cards and showing you guys there, then you guys can let me know in the comment section down below, and I can try to get that done for you guys. As always, if you guys enjoy these deck profiles, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. 10,000 is the goal for 2020. And I just wanted to mention before I get into this profile that I hope everyone is staying safe. Without further ado, let's get into the profile. No face cam for today, by the way, because I don't know, I just got on dueling book and I really wanted to show you guys this. So no face cam for today, but if you guys enjoy the face cam like in the other videos, let me know as well. So first things first, this deck does so well against the meta for this April 2020. I mean, I know we're not playing real life Yu-Gi-Oh right now, but this build is insanely good for what people think is going to be the meta. This is also really good going into like post Etco format, post Eternity Code, because other decks that are getting a boost we know are going to be better. And so this deck wrecks post Master Rule 5 deck. So it's an anti-meta pick. It's definitely a blind going second pick, and as you guys can see by the deck profile, you guys can see that as well. But we'll get into it. So now we're playing triple Yosenju 1, 2, and 3, as well as Yosenju Tsujic. I am not playing any of the new Yosenjus, specifically Yosenju Izna. I know that one makes it so that your opponent can't negate your Yosenju effects, but the reason you're not playing that is because this deck is focused around this card right here, Dark Ruler No More. So we'll get into that when we get into that, but I just wanted to show you guys that these are the only ones you really need. They're the best ones. They're the ones that act like spirit monsters. They come back to your hand, and it allows for a lot of other plays, really. So that's why these best ones are the ones that you really just want to stick to. So Yosenju 1, 3 of, Yosenju 2, 3 of, Yosenju 3, 3 of, and then 2 of the Yosenju Tsujic. You don't want to max out on Tsujic. I don't think it needs to be maxed out on, but 2 is definitely enough. Then into the Kaiju package, you are playing triple Gamma Seal, 1 Humongous, 1 GZQ, as well as 1 Thunder King. So I wanted to play 6 Kaijus. I was playing 5, I think, before, but I want to play 6 because I want my Slumber to always be live no matter what. And you're not always OTKing with this deck per se. Even if you have 2 Kaijus in your hand, right, it's pretty good in that sense as well, because you can Kaiju your opponent and then Kaiju or special summon a Kaiju to your side of the field as well, and then in that sense you'll be getting a body on board. So that's why I really like the 6 Kaijus. I wouldn't change it. Now the only thing is, if you guys have different access to Kaijus, you don't have to play these exact 6. The reason I play 3 Gamma Seals is because it's just the lowest attack one, so it's the easiest one to get over if I have to attack over it. It doesn't matter which 6 you play, really. These are the reasons why I'm playing, that's the reason why I'm playing these 6, but I'll get into why you can play these ones a little bit later. But yes, so 6 Kaijus, I don't think I would change that whatsoever. And then I am playing triple size Frame Gear Gamma, of course, as well as the 1 driver. So why am I playing Gamma? Gamma's actually insanely good in this deck, and it's actually really good against the meta for 2 reasons. Actually, for multiple reasons. One, all your Yosenju monsters come back to your hand on the end phase, which means on your opponent's turn, so let's say you make your turn 1 like play or whatever, you summon a couple Yosenjus, you attack, whatever, they come back to your hand. You're probably not going to have monsters on your side of the field. Always makes Gamma live. So Gamma is always pretty much live in the Yosenju deck, so it's really good. It just synergizes really well with the Yosenjus themselves, and Gamma is a really good hand trap, one of the best hand traps. And honestly, sometimes you can make stuff like Omega, because if your opponent's going first, because you're blind second, right? If your opponent's going first and goes standby phase Calamities, you can Gamma the Calamities, and then because you have nothing on your field still, you can Gamma the Calamities, make yourself an Omega turn 1. Like, that's pretty good, right? You can also, I guess, make yourself any other level 8 synchro, but Gamma into Omega is pretty cool. Rips 1 out of your opponent's hand, 2800 attack, pretty good as well. It also Omega also recycles stuff for you, so that's also pretty good. So Gamma is insane in this deck. You definitely want to play Gamma. I'm not playing Ash anymore. I don't think it's necessary. I think Gamma is just a lot stronger, a lot more impactful, and because it also can't get called by the grave, right? So a lot of combo decks that are playing called by the grave, Gamma actually like plays around Called by the Grave, right? So that's why I think this card is insane, phenomenal, synergizes really well with the Yosenju monsters themselves, so that's why I want to play the Gamma. Now, going on to the spell cards, we are playing the pretty much the core of this deck and the idea behind this deck that I thought of this a while ago, and so this is like kind of my idea that I was like, you know what, how can we abuse Dark Ruler No More? Now, you don't need to be OTKing in this deck, right? You need to just break your opponent's boards, because a lot of the time combo decks will want to make a board, but after turn 2 and 2 or 3, there's not a lot of boards they can make, just because they've gone through their extra deck so much that if you break their initial board, it's going to be hard for them to like make a comeback per se, right? So Dark Ruler No More and Kaiju Slumber do super well together, because if you activate your Dark Ruler No More and your opponent's stuff is negated and you Kaiju Slumber, this is not going to be getting negated. So if this goes off freely, you've now cleared your opponent's entire board, summoned 2 Kaijus, one to their side and one to your side, And if you have your Yosenju monsters in your hand, you now out your kaiju that you gave them, because a lot of times you'll attack over it, because this just makes it so they can't do damage, but you can still attack. So because you can't attack, you still out your opponent's board. It doesn't matter that you don't kill them that turn, because the next turn or the following couple turns, you're going to beat them anyways. So that's why I really like the Slumber into the Dark Ruler no more. It's insanely good in that sense. This combo is insanely good. I would not like change this at all. This in Yosenju has pretty much become like standard in my opinion. I am playing triple Tenki. Tenki's pretty obvious. It just searches all of your Yosenju monsters. They're all Beast Warrior monsters, and Tenki searches all of them pretty much. So if you open like 1 and 2, you can search the 3. Doesn't matter. If you open any of them, you can search the other one. Doesn't really matter. Also, it just boosts their attack by 100, which I mean can be relevant, but Tenki's pretty good in that sense. Now I am playing Triple Pot of Extravagance. I know, I understand. Extravagance is difficult for some people to get their hands on. So I wanted to provide you guys with different options that you can play instead of Extravagance here. So this is why I came down to the trade-in and the different kaijus. So trade-in is insanely good in this deck, and it's very easy to actually play because a lot of kaijus are level 8. Gamma Seal's a level 8, your Godarla is level 8, and Dogoron is level 8. So if you guys can't get your hand on Extravagance, right? If you guys cannot get your hand on Extravagance, what I would play is triple trade-in, change these 3 kaijus. So instead of Thunder King, Jizukiru, and Humongous, I would just play like 2 Dogoran and a Godarla, or like 2 Godarla and 1 Dogoran or something. This way you have 6 trade-in targets, which will make your trade-in pretty much always live in that sense. So that's why if you guys can't get your hands on Extravagance, don't worry. Definitely play the Godarla and play the Dogoran with some trade-ins. Budget, that's like a budget alternative, and I think it's like still a good way to play it. You're still getting your draw 2 regardless, so it doesn't really matter that much. But you know, honestly, if you guys have Extravagance or can get your hands on Extravagance, I would prefer this just because it doesn't get anything out of your hand, so you can keep all your kaijus in hand, right? But again, budget version, trade in with into the kaiju is perfectly fine. Then I am playing triple Cosmic Cyclone. Now, if you guys can't afford, I'll tell you guys this right now, Lightning Storm. I'm not going to put Lightning Storm in here because I know it's very difficult for a lot of players to get. I personally don't even have my hands on them yet. I have my hands on Extravagance, but I do not have my hands on Lightning Storm. Very difficult card to get your hands on, very expensive card. But if you guys have Lightning Storm, just take out these 3 Cosmic Cyclones and play 3 Lightning Storm. If you guys don't have Lightning Storm, Cosmic Cyclone is a budget alternative to Lightning Storm that you pretty much, honestly, with Slumber, you don't need the Lightning Storm to destroy monsters. You're mostly destroying your opponent's back row anyways. So Cosmic Cyclone gets rid of your opponent's back row regardless, and so it's just a budget alternative to your Lightning Storm, right? So if you guys have these, I mean, by all means, definitely play them, but if you don't have them, Cosmic Cyclone. Other cards that I decided to play are the 1 of Instant Fusion as well as the 1 of Mind Control. Now, these both went to 1 on the previous ban list, on the new ban list, and I don't understand why. I think Mind Control should have stayed at 2 or 3. I think, you know, Instant Fusion, maybe this got hit for different reasons, but I think Mind Control shouldn't have gone down to 1, to be honest with you. But I still am playing both of them because, again, it just helps out your opponent's boards. It's not like every single hand you're going to have your hands on Dark Ruler No More, right? Obviously, with Extravagance, or if you play Trade-In, it's a little bit easier to get to Dark Ruler No More. But if you guys don't, you need other ways to bait out your opponent's monster effects or just get rid of your opponent's monsters. So Instant Fusion is really good, obviously, because you make Thousand Eyes, and Mind Control is really good as well because it just takes one of your opponent's monsters that you can use for a link play. And then the last 2 cards I am playing was 2 Imperm. Now, I know this is a go second deck, and I didn't want to play too many hand traps. And again, I told you, I didn't want to play Ash because I didn't want to lose to the Called by the Grave. But Imperm is really good going second because obviously it's just a hand trap that can't get called by the Grave. But also, if you're forced to go first, you can set it, right? And being able to set it is really, really good. Having multi-purpose cards is always really a good option. Now, I have some other options here in the side deck that you guys can play that I'll show you guys. Creature Swap is one of my cards that I've loved forever in Yosenju because what you can do is if you normal summon your Yosenju monster, you can Creature Swap and then take your opponent's monsters for good, of course. But on the end phase, your Yosenju monsters will actually come back to your own hand, right? Because they're your cards and they have to come back to your hand. So this Creature Swap is essentially a free card for you. But the reason I decided not to play it anymore is because, again, a lot of times if you want to be able to break your opponent's board, it's a little bit harder for Creature Swap to go off. Also, a lot of the time Creature Swap is going to be getting negated if you don't open the Dark Ruler No More. So in that sense, it's like, it's really good, don't get me wrong, and it used to be really good. It just, like, right now in the format, right now in the meta, I don't think it's that great anymore. Something like Super Polymerization is another option you can play instead of the Imperm. Imperm is like something that I just put in because it's like a favorite card of mine, something that I think is really good. But if you guys don't want to play the Imperm, you can play Super Poly in the main deck instead, and just play Super Poly targets in the extra deck. I'll get into the extra deck soon, but you can play that as well. Also, Super Poly is really good because you can Super Poly in the standby phase, and this way you can still you can Super Poly first and then still Extravagance, right? So that's why it's another option that you guys can play something like Super Poly. But again, because you had to discard a card, I didn't really like it too much because you want to have as much hand advantage as possible in this deck. So being like having to discard is sometimes not the greatest thing. Something like Raigeki or even Dark Hole can actually also be played in this deck, because if you guys wanted to play that, you know, it's like other options for your Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. It's like, let's say you open Dark Ruler no more, but no Slumber. I mean, I guess Raigeki or Dark Hole pretty much act as like pseudo slumbers, right? But again, I didn't really want to play it in this deck. It's not the most consistent. I'm just saying, like, if you guys don't have your hands on something like an Imperm or Gammas or your Cyclones or Extravagance, these are other options you can play. And then lastly, Evenly Matched is another card that you guys can play. Again, with your Dark Ruler no more, you're not really doing damage anyways, so if you can evenly match your opponent, it doesn't really matter that you're losing out on your battle phase. So Evenly Matched is another option that you can play instead of Imperm, or you can play instead of like the Mind Control Instant Fusion. I like to keep these in, so I keep these in, but the Imperm is an option you can take out. If you guys can't get your hands on Gamma, then take out the Gammas, play something like Evenly Matched, the creature swaps, the Super Polys, and whatnot. So that's why I like these dueling book deck profiles as well, because I can show you guys what other options you guys have, because there's definitely different ways to play the deck. I think this is the most right here that I have is the most consistent and the best version. But again, if you guys don't have access to certain cards, or you guys only have like, let's say 2 Cyclones instead of 3, then you can put some of these cards in to swap for that instead. Moving on to the extra deck, you are playing Double Thousand Eyes Restrict. This is just because you're playing Extravagance. Obviously, we only have 1 Instant Fusion, but because you're playing Extravagance, you don't want to banish the 1 of and then have Instant Fusion be dead. So that's why I'm playing 2. If you're not playing Extravagance, you guys don't have to play doubles or triples of any of these cards. You guys see how there's doubles and triples up here? If you're not playing Extravagance and you're playing Trade-In, you don't have to play these, and that's why I'm saying if you play Trade-In, you can even play something like Super Poly, because you have space for Super Poly targets, right? So Thousand Eyes, definitely a card that you want to play in this deck. Instant Fusion, Thousand Eyes, gets rid of your opponent's cards, helps you break your opponent's board, which is really important. 1 Omega, like I said, Gamma on your turn into Omega is obviously a play, very much possible. Triple or double, I should say, Gaga Cowboy. This is really good because sometimes you can do a lot of damage with this deck, especially being able to spam all the Yosenju monsters, but you are sometimes just short of game. So what happens is if you attack and whatever, and your opponent's at like 500 life points, whatever, you can actually summon the Cowboy just to go for game. This is also really good in time, because if you can break your opponent's board, if they go first, you break their board, you can go Cowboy, win the game in time in that sense as well. So Cowboy's another option. Then I am playing W Utopia as well as W Utopia Lightning. These are just cards to help out like big monsters. So sometimes you can give your opponent a Kaiju. So if I give my opponent the GZQ, sometimes it's hard for me to out. Now, if you guys don't know, Kama 1 bounces cards that your opponent controls back to your hand. So it can bounce these Kaijus back to your own hand, obviously. But let's say you don't have access to Kama 1, right? Something like Utopia Lightning, it can help you win a game because it outs big monsters. Speaking of outing big monsters, 1 Boral Sword, this is something that, like, hey, look, if it gets banished off Extravagance, it does. But you can sometimes make this, especially with like Instant Fusion and Mind Control. This is not super hard to make, because you can put like 5 Yosenju monsters on the field, for example, sometimes 2. Let's say you open 5 Yosenju monsters, make 4 of them into Boral Sword, attack, and you can go for game that way. Or another option is obviously if you Mind Control or Instant Fusion, take your opponent's monsters, use them for Boral Sword as well. That's really good. Now for the generic Link 2, I'm just playing triple Lambda. Again, I'm only playing triple because of Extravagance, but Lambda definitely play 3 of, because it's a generic Link 2. Also, because it makes Gamma live with monsters on the field, so Lambda is probably the best one that you can play in this deck. And lastly, I play double Relinquished Anima, just because this can actually come up with Thousand Eyes low-key, because sometimes if you take your opponent's monster and they have another monster that Anima can point to, you end up taking 2 of your opponent's monsters with just 1 Instant Fusion, right? So Anima is just an option there that you guys can play. But again, like I said, if you guys want to play Super Poly, you can take out some of these cards and play Super Poly targets. If you guys don't have Extravagance, obviously don't run triple Lambda. You don't need to be running triple Lambda or double Lightning. You just run one of each card, and then, you know, have more space for other things. So that's it for the deck profile. If you guys enjoyed, let me know in the comment section down below. I'm always open to suggestions. I showed you guys a bunch of different options that you guys can play. So if you guys want to try different things and try different versions of the deck, let me know how it goes for you guys in the comment section down below. If you guys enjoyed, like I said, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and with that, Spanko signing out.
My hands steady, I feel ready, but my legs heavy, I don't get it. How come I haven't hit it already? Still working, I'm still learning, I'm still searching, finally earning something, finally turning something called a profit. If I hear you talking shit, don't get caught in it. I'll be popping off and hit your ass, dropping all your shit. Yeah, I promise this, I got promises, you ain't stopping this, cross my shit.